What if the reason you forget what you study isn't because you're bad at remembering? What if it's because you're waiting way too long to review it? Most students think better grades come from longer study sessions. More hours, more effort, more late nights. But honestly, I think most people are making this way harder than it needs to be. Because sometimes 10 focused minutes at the right time can do more than 2 exhausting hours later. And yeah, that sounds a little backwards at first, but stay with me. If you've ever spent an entire evening studying for something, only to forget half of it a few days later, you know the feeling. It's frustrating. You sit there thinking, wait, didn't I already learn this? And technically, you did. The problem is that learning something once doesn't mean your brain decided to keep it. That part surprised me when I first understood it. Your brain is constantly making little decisions about what matters and what doesn't. A random conversation you overheard? Probably gone. A weird, embarrassing moment from 3 years ago? Somehow still there. Brains are strange like that. But here's something most people miss. Memory gets stronger when you come back to information quickly. Not weeks later, not the night before the exam. Soon. Sometimes even the same day. Think about this for a second. You sit through class, take notes, maybe even understand everything in the moment. Then you close your notebook and move on. Homework, scrolling, dinner, life. And by tomorrow, a lot of it already feels fuzzy. Not because you're lazy, not because you're bad at studying. Your brain just didn't get a second signal saying, hey, this matters. Keep this. That second signal matters more than most people realize. And this is where a really simple system comes in. Learn, revise, reinforce, retain. Nothing fancy. No complicated productivity setup. No 6-hour study marathon. Just 4 small steps that actually work together. The first part is obvious. Learn. Go to class, read the chapter, watch the lecture, whatever learning looks like for you. But here's the part people skip. Revise. And I don't mean restudying everything for another hour. I mean 10 minutes. That's it. Same day. Honestly, this part feels almost too simple. But simple things are usually the easiest to ignore. Let's say you learn something in biology, maybe cell structure, maybe photosynthesis. Later that evening, instead of reopening the entire chapter and overwhelming yourself, you spend 10 minutes revisiting it. Quick recall. What do I actually remember? No pressure, no perfect notes. Just checking in. You try remembering the big ideas before looking at your notebook. Then you glance back and fill the gaps. That small moment tells your brain something important. This information is probably worth keeping. Now, here's the key part. Most students confuse studying with reviewing. They sound similar, but they're not really the same thing. Studying feels heavy. Reviewing feels light. Studying can be mentally draining. Reviewing is more like reminding, almost like tapping someone on the shoulder and saying, hey, remember this? And weirdly enough, that light reminder can be incredibly powerful, especially when it happens the same day. There's actually a relatable moment I think a lot of students know. You leave class feeling weirdly confident. Like, okay, I actually get this. Then 2 days later, someone asks about it and suddenly your brain goes blank. You're standing there like, wait, I swear I knew this. Yeah, that happens to almost everyone because understanding something once is not the same as remembering it. Let that sink in. The next step is reinforce. This is where things get interesting. Reinforcing doesn't mean doing more work. It means helping your brain interact with the information again in a slightly different way. Maybe you explain it out loud, like you're teaching someone, even if it feels awkward. Honestly, talking through something quietly in your room works surprisingly well. Or maybe you write 3 important points from memory, not 20. 3. Simple. Because if you can explain something simply, chances are you understand it better than you think. And finally, retain. This is the part everyone wants. Actually remembering what you learned when it matters, during quizzes, tests, random class discussions where the professor suddenly calls on you. That moment nobody enjoys. But retention usually isn't built during panic sessions. It's built quietly in small moments. 10 minutes here, a quick review there, tiny signals telling your brain, keep this around. And no, this doesn't mean you'll never need longer study sessions. Sometimes exams are hard. Sometimes life gets busy. But if you build this small habit consistently, those long sessions feel way less stressful because you're not relearning everything from scratch. You're just reconnecting with things your brain already recognizes. That changes everything. Now, here's the quiet shift I want you to think about. Maybe studying more isn't always the answer. Maybe studying sooner matters more. That tiny revision session after class, it might honestly matter more than cramming for hours later. Not because you worked harder, but because you worked with how memory actually works. Simple, practical, way less exhausting. So if there's one thing to try after this video, let it be this. Pick one thing you learned today, just one. Spend 10 minutes revisiting it tonight. No pressure to be perfect, just remind your brain it mattered. And if you try it, pay attention to how different things feel a week from now. You might be surprised by how much actually sticks. And if you've been trying to study in a way that feels calmer, more sustainable, and honestly a little less overwhelming, stick around. There's more to explore together. If this helped even a little, feel free to share it with someone who might need it, leave a comment with your thoughts, and subscribe for more calm, practical study tips.